Hey, everybody, welcome to Thingy's Tech Talk, where we talk about all things tech. I'm Jeff Bromley,
And I'm Rob Barra.
and today we are here to talk about Apple's latest iOS release, version 14.5.
Yes, iOS has recently been updated, but if you haven't already, make sure that when you do update that you do get 14.5.1. There was a major security issue with the Safari browser. It's being actively exploited in the wild. You don't want anything to wind up happening, information getting stolen, etc. Especially considering that the major reason for upgrading to 14.5 is that app tracking transparency feature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't know whether you guys have heard, but Facebook is a little annoyed at Apple right now because they won't
A little,
allow
yes, to say the least.
just a little, but they don't want they want, again, Apple's mantra over the past, I don't know, it feels like, going back to like iOS 7 or iOS 8, it's privacy, privacy, security, security, and they want to protect you as the user. So they want to make sure that if you, and it's up to you, you guys could allow advertisers to follow you across and then, retarget you, like they do right now when I'm in Amazon. Funny how when I search for something before, it's showing up as a bunch of Amazon products. Or when I'm in Facebook, I'm getting other advertisements because it's looking at the cookies on my machine. So
So I mean, it's not just that. It's also, I mean, it's arguable that Facebook and Instagram and some of those other apps, when you have your microphone enabled, are actually listening to the conversations that you're having, and showing you ads for those things. I've experienced it entirely too many times for it to be a coincidence. I have no technical information at all to support that, other than a lot of anecdotal evidence. But I mean, Facebook is feeling so much like this particular feature, if it is adopted across multiple devices and lots of people actually turn it on, they actually view it honestly as an existential threat to their current business model. So it's I mean, for my money, seems like a good thing to turn on, because they're monetizing you, and you don't necessarily have to let them do that. I mean, by all means, if you like being retargeted and being reminded of things, or getting emails 14 seconds after you close out a website or anything like that, you don't necessarily have to turn these things off. The main thing is that these apps can track you across not only websites but also between apps. So it is something that you can do. You can look at things in the Amazon app, open up Facebook, and then Amazon can serve you ads based on what you looked at on Amazon's website on Facebook. So there are things that you may or may not want to have shown up, and that's up to you. You can turn it on per app, or across all. You can turn some on and not some others. There's a lot of flexibility, and it's a really big step forward in terms of giving individuals a little bit more power over what some of the larger companies have been able to implement over the last couple of years.
yeah. And speaking of tracking, let's transition over to something that's a little cool. They're actually going to allow you to start tracking accidents and police officers in Apple
Yes.
Maps.
Speed traps.
So
It's not speed,
yeah.
not necessarily police officers. Well, I guess you could do that if you know a police officer. I suppose you could put an air tag on them, but I wouldn't recommend that. In fact, I completely disavow even having said that. So anyway, no, the those features in Waze have been very popular, and of course, with Google buying Waze a few years ago and integrating a lot of those features into Google Maps, as well as continuing Waze's development as a standalone app. It's not surprising to see Apple try and move to gain feature parity with those, and maintain that ongoing battle where they're trying to make Apple Maps better. Again, I still personally use Google Maps because it is more reliable for me. Other people in different places may have a different experience with that, but that's just me.
Yeah.
And Apple's
Well, I
nice
mean,
enough to let you set your own defaults. So
yeah. Yeah, I mean,
off you go.
I find Apple Maps works very well when I'm in CarPlay, but I believe CarPlay allows you to determine whether you're using Google or Waze. So it pretty much,
Yeah.
Apple has left a fair amount up to the user rather
Yes.
than saying, force feeding. You can only use Apple Music or Apple Maps. So,
Yeah.
kudos to
No,
Apple, but
it's good, especially considering the antitrust scrutiny that they're under the lawsuit they're currently engaged in with Epic over in-app purchases and the Apple App Store quote unquote monopoly. It's pretty entertaining because Epic has their own store also. Not surprised there that they don't want to be paying Apple their fair share. So I mean, they violated the terms of service, and that's the way things work. So anyhow.
So what else is up on the list? I think Face ID and masks.
Yes.
I think that'll be helpful.
So I think one of the neat features, but it's a little bit limited in terms of its overall usage. Of course, for the last year plus, we've all been those of us at least that have phones that support Face ID have not really been able to use it out in public. It's a little bit of a pain for doing purchases using the non-contact Apple Pay or some of those things. So now with iOS 14.5, excuse me, they are now enabling the ability to unlock your phone with your Apple Watch. So you can, if Face ID fails and it detects a mask, which it's gotten better at over the last few iterations, thanks to some focus on that. If you do have an Apple Watch on and it's unlocked, it will also unlock your phone. I know number of us. I know Jeff, you're a big user of the unlock your laptop or your computer with the Apple Watch. It is a great feature, and this is really just extending that to the phone also. So I haven't tried this yet personally, but I'm looking forward to it. I did see somebody post instructions. It's some sort of way to. It was very strange. They were saying like take a mask and fold it in half and put it over half of your face and then do the rotation, and occasionally and apparently that will allow it's like a secondary face that you can add. Again, I haven't played with that either. Seems like a lot of work. If you own an Apple Watch, this is the way to go. So they sell a lot of those things. So I'm sure you have it.
So one question I have for you, and I know that they've had support for the Xbox, and I actually have a controller over here, or actually the older Xbox controllers. What's the difference between the PS5 and the Xbox X? Are they really that much different than the other ones?
I can't really tell you. I do know that the Xbox Series X controller has this button. I
don't have that button.
I'm not sure what it does. I think it shares screenshots or something to.
It's
Xbox
listening
Live.
to Rob. It's listening to you.
But the PlayStation 5 controller is certainly a technical leap forward in terms of what the old DualSense controllers were. The haptic feedback that's in the PlayStation 5 controller is actually pretty incredible. So that I can see being nice, and it just makes sense to have that kind of technology for gaming.
Probably a new chipset, new Bluetooth, something or other.
Well, but also you have the cloud gaming, so you have the ability to use an iPad to connect remotely to your PlayStation or your Xbox over the internet and actually stream your game to your iPad, so you can just bring a controller with you and be playing your PlayStation wherever you are. So I mean, it's a sort of a no-brainer feature to enable that so that you can play the newer games. Again, that's not I don't do that. I'm not that addicted. I can kind of handle not playing those games when I'm away from home, but that's not everyone, obviously.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're playing Genshin Impact and you want to play wherever, although Genshin Impact, if you have enough storage on your iOS device, which I hear it takes up a lot of space based on what my children have told me, it actually plays quite well on either an iPad Pro or an 8th generation iPad Air. It plays amazingly well. So it's kind of, on a separate note, it's amazing how the iPads are catching up with the console gaming. So I think I was talking about that years ago about how gaming will be on the iOS devices and you may need less of a actual physical console, but I still don't think it's going to put Xbox and PlayStation out of business as far as those product lines.
All comes back to the games and what games are available on what platforms. Genshin Impact being available on the iPad has probably helped with its adoption. Again, most hardcore gamers don't look at a tablet or look at a console even as a reasonable platform to be playing their games on. They want the $4,000 computers that get 80 gazillion frames per second and all that stuff. You can't.
They want clicky keyboards and the right mouse.
You can't even buy video cards anymore because of
no
cryptocurrency mining and stuff like that, and the chip shortages. But anyway.
All right, and the last feature that we wanted to talk about, which I know I'm excited about, is the fact that you can change Siri's voice now. So it will come with a few different options for you to change. I know that I currently have the British voice installed. I know that there's the Australian voice. Wasn't there a pirate voice for a while?
I'm not sure. I always liked the Australian voice. That was always my favorite.
But again, it's something. Rob, have you downloaded and tried out, or are you just stuck with the old Siri voice?
I'm just stuck. I don't really use it that often, honestly. I don't really have any need to. So
not even with CarPlay while you're out gallivanting, picking up children, and playing taxi.
No, I mean CarPlay for the most part. I turn on some music and that's about it. So it's not.
Gotcha.
Maybe it's just the integration that my car has. It just doesn't really lend itself to heavy usage of voice control. So
gotcha.
It's very tactile, and it's a Honda. It's not as bad as the old Fords with all those buttons that Microsoft put on it, but it's close. There's a lot of buttons, whole lot of buttons. So.
Anyway, all right. Well,
we'll have to find that picture and share it. There's I think the product liability warning interface.
Yeah, I believe that was a Ford Fusion car rental out of Raleigh, North Carolina, if I do recall correctly, many years ago.
Yes, it was. About
all right. So anyway,
like 10 years ago, it feels like.
It probably was 10 years ago. Yeah. So anyway, enough of our taking a trip down memory lane for this episode of Tech Talk. I'm Jeff Bromley,
and I'm Rob Barra. Stay safe out there, and hey, maybe try unlocking your phone with your watch.